I'm Rene Ritchie, and I'm a tech analyst.
And I'm Georgia Dow, and I'm a psychotherapist.
And welcome to Apple Talk, where the psychology meets the technology. And we talk about, what do you talk about again?
Technology, psychology, how it intersects.
Yeah.
Its effect on our daily lives.
How Apple, Google, Facebook, Amazon, all the big tech companies, once in a while Microsoft, well, they're becoming more like IBM. We can talk about that on some episode. How they affect all of our lives and increasingly our culture. And on today's show, we actually have a double Apple topic.
I know. Taboo.
Because two things happened. One, Apple decided to revert the MacBook Pro line, or according to rumors, according to leaks, according to speculation, nothing confirmed. Tim Apple has not taken stage yet, but the rumor is they're going to be reverting the MacBook Pro to something very similar to the 2015 version. And also more news about something near and dear to your heart.
Yes,
What's
a
that?
little bit of AR, VR action, perhaps coming from Apple.
So let's start with the Magsafe in the room. 2016, Apple comes out, Tim Cook, Phil Schiller, Johnny Ive, and they introduced the brand new Mac Pro. And there were significant changes. It was thinner, lighter, more powerful, because those are, every time Apple introduces a product, it's got to be those three things.
It has to.
But also they got rid of some of the previous ports. They got rid of the SD card slot. They got rid of the HDMI port. They got rid of all the USB-A ports, and they went all in on USB-C. And they also introduced the butterfly keyboard that they brought over from the 12-inch MacBook Pro and the Touch Bar, both of which turned out to be infamous, one more than the other, obviously. And at the time when I did my review, I said it was the future that none of us were ready for yet.
The future we don't want.
Partially want. There's a lot of good things about USB-C, but it was such a big change. And so the rumor this week is that the next generation of MacBook Pros is going to be bringing back at least the SD card slot.
God bless.
But also probably removing the Touch Bar and bringing back MagSafe.
Okay, so I'll ask you first, Rene, since this is what you do. What are your feeling on all three of those changes?
So I have mixed feelings about MagSafe. I like the fact that if someone, including me, tripped over my power cable, it would just nicely detach and wouldn't send the computer, flying across the room. But I did not know that I disliked that MagSafe was a unitasker, because now that I have ports, USB-C ports on both sides of my computer, and I can plug in on either side, I use that all the time. Back before the world ended and we could travel, it didn't matter where I sat, in the coffee shop, in the meeting room, anywhere. There was always something that was close enough to plug in. I didn't have to try to reach all the way around my computer. And I'm sort of quasi-angry they're might be taking that away, because I don't think they'll
put it on both sides.
I don't think they'd waste the space, because you don't need to plug. The beauty of USB-C is that they were both charging and for data.
Right.
Yes, you only have one on one side. You're living
No,
in MacBook.
I have two.
Yes, on one side.
On one side.
Yes, because that's where the bus is. That's where the USB-C bus is.
It's not at all helpful to me. So it's reached all the way around.
Yes. Yeah, right now you are charging on the inconvenient side.
Yes, the inconvenient side, depending on wherever it is, and the cord is there so that someone will be tripped, and it will send my computer flying to its death.
Yeah. So what do you think about the MagSafe situation?
I loved the MagSafe. I loved MagSafe. And we still have computers that run, and they're the MagSafe, and I still love them. The feeling of placing them in, and it just fits. Just fits. I don't have to worry about which way I'm putting it in. It just works. It's fast, it's easy, it's convenient. I don't have to fendangle with it. I don't have to feel bad because I've put it into the wrong way. And it's one of these things that when I worry about the wire, I have kids and they often are running around, and there's so many computers, or the cord comes out of the wall and I'm worried about it. But with the MagSafe, I never had to worry about that.
Yeah.
I think it's a superior charging system. But yeah, put it on both sides.
But you're not going to ever use it on both sides, so that's a waste.
I will use both sides. I may not use them at the same time. But I think that, smaller and thinner is lovely, but there's a point where convenience should trump smaller and thinner.
So I will say, like, one of the issues, well, there's two issues where I think the analysis got it wrong. It's that those were the best-selling Macs ever. And we talk a lot about data, like follow the data. I've been talking for days about like YouTube data, like you always follow data. But I think people forget that the data is only, what's the right word? It's an indicator. It's not an absolute.
Right.
Like if you follow the data on YouTube, you'll inevitably become Logan Paul. And you can feel one way or another about Logan Paul, but like that's just incredibly popular content that if you keep optimizing for what YouTube tells you it's going to take to be successful, you'll end up like Mr. Beast or Logan Paul. You'll have a prank channel, basically, because that's what people watch. It's like everybody says they watch PBS, but they really watch TMZ.
Yeah.
And I feel like with this, Apple optimized for what would sell, and they noticed these laptops were selling so well. They optimized for this new generation. And I don't want to sound like I'm downplaying them, but there are people who self-identified as pros who weren't traditional pros, but they were aspirational pros, like they were like founders, and they weren't doing like high demand video work or audio work, or like they didn't require big computers, but they wanted the brand of pro. And so by making these MacBook Air Pros, Apple sold an amazing amount of them, but they really pissed off their traditional pro market, which is sort of like in any job, you're aspiring to improve yourself, but you sometimes piss off the people who got you there. And then it's a calculation of what did you lose compared to what did you gain?
And what is your end goal, right? What is your end goal? And again, these are user products where, if you can make the most people happy with not a great detriment. Like I would sacrifice a little bit of weight, having it a little bit more plump to be able to charge on either side.
Yeah.
Like it wouldn't kill me. I'm fine with it charging on one. I like the Magsafes that much, but.
And everybody says that. And have you ever seen that about the iPhone? For like just double it, just make it twice as thick and it'll last twice as long. And then the iPhone 12 comes out, and immediately everyone's complaining. Oh, and it's not even that much heavier, but it's so heavy I can't hold it up for long periods of time. I can't game as long as I want to.
Does anyone really say that?
Yes.
Has anyone really said
there were
it's
so
too
many
heavy?
complaints.
I can't hold it up.
Yes,
because then maybe that's a sign you need Fitness Plus.
No, see, that's the dismissiveness that people say. But for a long time, like experienced designers will say that. Like for example, my mom loves to read ebooks on her phone, and the lighter that phone is, the longer she can read the ebooks. The longer you could game, the longer maybe I could watch the video. Lightness is absolutely a user benefit. It just needs to be balanced, because if your battery runs out or you get tired of holding it, both of those things ruin your experience.
Fair. That's a fair statement. It's a fair statement. But it's such an infinitesimal difference. I think that most people will not notice the difference.
Yeah. And so many
most
complaints.
Of the time. We like to complain.
We do.
We like to complain.
Engines.
But again, you don't want to just deal with the loudest voice.
Yes.
Either.
And I think the mistake here is the mistake that Apple made was they saw the mainstream computer market, and they've always had a small share.
Right.
And I don't know if they've had like big share envy over like the PC share, but they did so well with the iPhone, which came out after the Mac, and so well with the iPad that maybe they looked at it and said, hey, we can have a consumer successful laptop. And they were willing to optimize for that at the expense of the pro user. And I think they went too far and for too long. Like,
right.
I don't know if you remember, but Steve Jobs introduced an iPod Shuffle with no buttons.
Yes.
And a wide iPod Nano.
Yes.
And people hated them so much, both of them disappeared in a year and we never mentioned them again. He would come to your house and slap you if you mentioned them again.
Right.
But Apple had that butterfly keyboard on the market for 3 or 4 years.
Hated.
Yeah, and but the thing is, they could make mistakes. I think one of the problems with Apple being constantly criticized is that they've become immune to it because they think that they'll be proven right.
And sometimes they are.
Like with the trackpads, they got rid of the actual trackpad. And it sounds stupid, but now they're the better trackpads ever. And I think they thought the same would be the same thing about the keyboards.
That
and
eventually we would come around.
We would figure out that they were right. And then it didn't happen. And they're like, oh, we can fix it. We can prove we're right.
Right.
And what is the phenomenon there, Georgia, where like everyone's telling you you're wrong, but you're just stuck in it. Like you think you'll prove them all that you're right.
It's called cognitive dissonance. It is when you're so stuck into your belief system that even hard data showing that actually makes you feel more ardently into your own point. And it's hard to crack out of that. Often it's a really painful process to be able to realize, wait a second, maybe something outside of the box is right and I'm not. But it's beneficial for us.
Yeah, and like they tried to redo them. They changed the material. They put a membrane over it. And now they went back. They reverted to the scissors. And the same with the Touch Bar. And the Touch Bar I'm even grumpier about because...
Oh, the Touch Bar.
Well, I mean, they put it out. And typically Apple will put something out and there'll be mixed reactions and they'll iterate and they'll iterate and they'll iterate. They haven't done anything to it in 5 years. They haven't added, they could add haptics to it to make it feel like keys. They could make it do more things, imagine your news is going by on it or something while you're typing. You just constantly see whatever news feed you want. There's things they could do, but it feels like abandonware.
Yeah, it seems to me, it feels like they did something because they could, but not because it should. It looked like it could do something better, but it never really did it better than an actual, volume key.
Well, but maybe it goes back to that cognitive dissonance. Yeah, cognitive dissonance you're talking about, because they've refused to make touchscreens on the Mac for so long.
I'm ready.
So long, and they're like, no, this is better. And it feels like, I forget who it was, but there was a developer who's like, I'm never going to have a settings screen because it's too complicated. I'll just add a button here. Oh, now I need a button there. Oh, now I need it. And trying to solve for refusing to put the settings screen there was more complex than just putting the damn settings screen there.
Yes,
That's exactly what it feels like with this. They're so refusing to do touch. They're going out of their way to put touch everywhere else except where it would be simplest to put it.
Right, which they've already done. They have touch screens that work really well. And then we get the wonderful support of a pencil.
Yeah.
Which would be lovely. And then we merge the two products, and I am a happy little camper. Yeah.
So the SD cards, I think this is the other thing that was ridiculous. When Apple first put out the 12-inch MacBook, I don't remember if you ever had a 12-inch MacBook or not. I think you mostly had the Airs.
I think I'm all Air, all in.
But all these people were complaining, all of our techie, nerdy friends were complaining. They had these handful of dongles. And I just wanted to take them by the hand and go, this is not the machine for you. Here's a MacBook Pro that doesn't require any dongles.
But they might not be able to afford a MacBook Pro.
No, these were the people who had them. They just wanted the new thing.
Okay, fair enough.
And it's back in the day, I think everyone thought every Apple product was for them. And then Apple started diversifying and segmenting, which is what mature companies do. And no longer was ever, I never bought a Mac Pro. I know a lot of our friends did. I never bought one because I don't need it.
Right.
I don't feel the need to buy every Apple product. Well, not every Apple product.
Almost.
Well, all right. Totally dragged me on that one. So it's the same thing with this.
No one believed you when you said it.
If you're a pro, you've always had to have dongles, and you always will. I had to have VGA and HDMI and DVI and mini DVI and Thunderbolt 2 and FireWire 400, FireWire 800. The list of dongles I've had to carry always. And so USB-C was just one more dongle. But I think what hurt Apple is that they put that pain on the mainstream, because the mainstream users never had that, and suddenly they had USB-C to USB-A dongles, and that's where it was a problem.
I hate dongles. That's it. That's my thought on it. I just hate dongles. I think that a machine should do the things that the machine should do. I don't think that I should have to buy 1,000 accessories for things that I used to have. That's the problem. The things that bothers me is that, I used to have a volume key, and now you take away my volume key? What are you thinking? I have a volume key.
We're back on the touch bar.
Sorry, I'm just saying. So, if you have an SD card reader and then you don't, then it makes people angry.
So where is the timeline? So for example, you use SD cards for your YouTube channel.
Yes.
I don't. I use CF Express cards. So them adding an SD card thing to this
does not actually help you.
No, it's great for mainstream, because SD cards are way more mainstream. I'm using cards that are just for faster data rate that I think will be mainstream in 3 or 4 years, but aren't now. And that's the whole point. Is it a pro machine? Is it a consumer machine? Who are you making happy?
Well, as long as there's a machine that makes if you hit 80% of your people, then at least most people are happy with a machine. But sometimes they just get rid of it on all of them.
Well, Apple's been historically fast at that. Remember, they famously got rid of the floppy drive, and went all in on the original USB.
Floppy drive.
So they've always been ruthless, but there's a point in time, like, nobody needs parallel ports and serial ports in their computer anymore. Nobody needs FireWire ports in their computer anymore. So there's things that they should get rid of.
Yes.
And, USB-A, that one I think is borderline, because a lot of, I don't want to say normal people, it sounds so disparaging, I don't mean it that way, but I think a lot of people have a lot of USB-A stuff still, but all the new stuff is USB-C.
That's really upsetting. That's really upsetting, is when you've bought things and then you can no longer use them without having to buy a whole bunch of other things to make them work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's that line, and I think Apple has always been a little bit aggressive at that line, but just the sheer volume of changes in that MacBook, I think but it was so appealing with people just bought so many of them. So I understand, I think I understand the problem. What do you think about the solution, about them reverting instead of pushing forward into something else?
I like the idea. Let's see how people feel about it, and then, they redesign their machines. So if it doesn't work out, that's okay. But people are rarely upset about having more that they don't use. People get really upset about having things that they would use but can't. But extra things, if I never use an SD card reader on my computer, how many people have complained about, oh, I have an SD card reader on my computer that I've never used? That really doesn't happen. Now, again, it comes at a cost. It's not just that you can put everything into the computer, because it would be a huge brick.
Homer Simpson's car. It would be Homer Simpson's car.
That was a really good episode.
Yeah.
That was a good episode. But yeah, it had every single thing, skylights and a coffee maker and donuts. Anyways, but it's too much. But I think that things that people are still using, wait. I just...
Yeah, I mean, Johnny Ive's philosophy on the iPhones and iPads were there would never be anything that 80% of the people wouldn't use 80% of the time. I think maybe it got to 90% of the people wouldn't use 90% of the time. And if it was like anything that either not a lot of people would use, or they wouldn't, or people wouldn't use a lot, that's an adapter, that's a dongle, that's an accessory. And that was sort of the philosophy that he went with.
Right.
And then you can put more battery in. Like, you take the SD card out, we'll put more battery in. So, because more people will benefit from the extra battery life than they will from having the SD card.
Which, to a good extent, I can agree with.
So what would you like to see, Georgia? I know you're all in on the MacBook Air. There's rumors of a new MacBook Air as well, Face ID, even faster chipset. Any other rumors?
I want things that I won't get. I would love to have Face ID. I think that would be a huge benefit, to be able to just open up the computer and that it's reading my face and that it's being able to be aware of that.
You're going to De Niro it, aren't you? Are you looking at me?
No.
You're looking at me. I must be looking at you. I don't want you looking at you. Are you looking at me?
No.
I'm the only one here. Are you looking at me?
I would never do that.
You're totally going to do that.
It would never happen. It would never happen. I'm waiting for touchscreen, so it's never going to happen.
Touchscreen?
I'm waiting. That's what I'm waiting for. Again, as long as we don't go to like butterfly keyboard and, there's certain things that just work better.
But you're happy with the scissor keyboard, the new one?
Yes, I am actually happy with it. Though when I go back to the old Mac, and I don't know if it's the 2015, it might be the 2016 Mac Pro.
With butterfly keys or no?
Yeah, with the scissor keys, old scissor keys.
2015 or earlier.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It feels fabulous. They're a little wiggly, but they're amazing. So they are, I would say, better.
The wiggliness bothers me.
I know.
It feels all loosey-goosey.
You've always said that. You've always said it's true. It is a little bit more loose, but it just feels friendlier. And, okay, this is strange, and I don't think anyone else is going to care, but the keys are rounded, whereas these are slightly concave,
yes,
which fits your fingers better, but the edges are slightly sharp to the touch, and I don't like that.
Are you a big edge typer? Do you lack precision in your typing efficacy?
No, but I'm often touching the keyboard even when I'm not typing, and so it's a tactile thing.
So overall, though, you're happy that they're going not back to the future, forward to the past?
Yes, I am. How about you?
Yeah, no, I think I have conflicted on this because, again, I like some of the aspects of MagSafe, but I like the ubiquity and the flexibility of USB-C. I'm fine having an SD card slot. I just don't use them anymore. I guess I use them once in a while because I have other cameras that still use them.
When you do use it, isn't it nice not to have to search for a dongle somewhere?
No, because I have to search for a dongle for the CF Express cards anyway. Again, anyone who works with Pro Gear is going to be dongled for life because they are always coming up with newer, faster, stronger, longer, more flexible, or just more proprietary cable technologies. Always. I'm never going to escape this, Georgia. I am dongle life for life. Eiffel for Elgond. Trying to say it backwards.
Is that what you were doing?
Like the cool kids do.
Mexaplex?
Mixelplick? Kipple skim. Oh no, I sent you back. Georgia's in the fifth dimension now. She can't finish the podcast. I'm so sorry. I'm impressed with your Mixelplick knowledge, though.
I did it wrong, though.
No, you didn't. I don't know how to pronounce. It's an unpronounceable fifth dimensional wizard name.
Right. If any of you are back in time,
Not like I'm
you
asking
will
you
know
to
why.
pronounce Elminster and Raistlin's illegitimate love child.
Do we have another topic?
Dungeons and Dragons fanfic. We
Dungeons
do.
and Dragons.
So our other topic is Mark Gurman was just making it rain rumors this week. It's like he just sat there and said, I'm going to type out every rumor for 2021 right now. So the other rumor he was talking about was Apple's ongoing virtual reality and augmented reality plans, saying that Apple will first introduce a virtual reality device very similar to the Oculus Quest, which means standalone, doesn't have to plug into a computer, but that it's going to be high-end, it's going to be expensive. He said Mac Pro-like, because Apple wants to put in a bunch of technologies that they need to get into the market. It's going to cost them a lot, so they don't envision selling a lot of them. And you live in VR, so I was curious what you thought.
I do. I really don't see them making a VR system. And the reason, the reason for it is the same reason why Apple TV it's okay, but it's not fabulous, is that you buy VR to experience the world through games and other experiential things. And how are they going to get all of these games? Are they going to be hooked into Steam? And then you can play all the Steam games? Well, then I would talk about that. But let's be honest, Apple does not play well with others. And Steam doesn't need them.
They're not getting Epic.
So I don't see why. One is I just think that if they did, it would fail. And I understand the argument that they're going to this is going to be their test system. But a test system that is a failing system does not benefit them any. And it would be expensive, massively expensive. VR is already prohibitively expensive. And Apple doesn't make cheap products.
No.
Wheels cost $250. So how much is this going to cost? And then there's nothing to play upon it. So then why would you buy it in the first place? And so I don't see that this would be successful, beneficial, or even they would get a good amount of data. I am sure that they are working and developing it and trying to see what they can do for one day perhaps having that when they have a backlog of people that they can actually get to work on it. But you are up against some big dogs that have been in this fight for a while, that have huge catalogs. I prefer the HTC Vive to Oculus, period, anyways.
Okay.
But because of that, it's just a system that I think, the same thing with WhatsApp. It's like, it's privacy concern for me.
Yeah, they backtracked, just tangent, they backtracked on WhatsApp so fast. All those times Facebook said they can't take any actions, without very long deliberations. They're like, oh, sorry, you're all confused and are misunderstanding.
We weren't going to do this, so we're going to wait until you understand. They didn't say we're not going to do it at all. We said we're not going to do it now. Anyways.
Meanwhile, Telegram signed up more users. Was it 50
exactly.
million?
People are jumping ship like as quick
Yep.
as they can. So I don't see that. I think that I think that it's much more difficult to adapt to AR because you have to be able to understand the system that's there.
So let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
So according to Mark's article, Apple's going to focus on entertainment, communications, and games. Yeah, absolutely. They bought a company that makes VR experiences out of concerts. So theoretically, there'll be Apple TV optimized for VR the way Netflix is now.
Yeah.
And I know some people who like watching it that way because they feel like they're in a giant movie theater. Or they do it with I forget that there's an app that lets you watch movies together in VR.
Which was awesome. I've used it. It was a really wonderful experience. But there is no, besides concerts, which you can actually go to concerts with other people right now. And I think that is a really neat experience, and I've done it, and it was very cool. But it is not that big of a jump that you would actually buy a system that might be $1,500 for a system to be able to watch a concert that you could watch on TV. And the reason for this is that I think that there's a huge barrier to entry. I think that people that buy Apple products, they want their comfort. I think that they, understand the technology that is there, but I don't see them being the people that would really want to jump into something that's expensive and not that much more than you can do with great surround sound and a big screen that you probably already own. And VR in comparison, like AR is kind of cool in that it can give you more information about the world. Like you could work at home and have your workflow set up in front of you instead of on a small computer screen and Minority Report through. And I think that would be a great experience, and I think that would be actually more fun and enhance it. And I think that most of the time for VR, why I don't play it as much as I could is because it's actually tiring.
Yeah.
It is heavy on your head. It is difficult. We use wireless systems, but at first probably it's going to be wired.
No, it's going to be like
it's
the
going to be wireless.
Oculus
Oh, God
Quest.
bless. Which is lovely.
All in the headset.
But it is exhausting. It's tiresome for your eyes. You're going through this issue of like proprioception where you're not getting the feedback from your body, what's coming in. Some people feel dizzy. And so I don't know, there's a whole bunch of reasons why people would not even choose to try this. And I think that's why a lot of people don't enjoy VR. VR is like playing a game often people want to do to relax and decompress. You finish VR, you are exhausted and stressed. In most cases. Like there are relaxing games as well, but
Back in 2017, Apple started making moves towards VR. They had Steam, Valve up on stage. They had ILM up on stage, Lucasfilms. They were showing off the Star Wars games. They were talking about eGPUs and a whole bunch of stuff. And behind the scenes, they were working on an earlier VR headset that didn't have a wire, but had a separate box that would do a lot of the compute power and then wirelessly beam it to the headset. And according to reports, Johnny Ive just went, nope, hot nope, big British nope, because he thought that was that having that extra box was unseemly. So now they are apparently working on something very much like the Oculus Quest, but also there are rumors that they're going to get into gaming in a more serious way. And Apple's always had hardcore gamers at every part of the company, but they realized that the least amount of effort for the most money was casual gaming. Like Candy Crush was way more profitable for them than God of War or Call of Duty or any of those things. So they focused on that and they made this huge empire with the iPhone. It's huge
Right.
for casual gaming. But now it sounds like they might make a higher end Apple TV. And some of the rumors, which I actually don't believe, but you never know, are that they might actually buy game studios the way that Sony has and the way that Microsoft has. And similar to how they're doing TV Plus, they might have, and even Apple Arcade to some extent, they might start bringing AAA games in and making that part of an overall Apple gaming service to go along with everything else.
which I can see them thinking about, but because TV Plus has not been as fruitful going that way, and you need such a huge catalog. Like we consume games like we consume music, and you need such a large catalog in comparison to areas that already have it. It's just such an uphill battle versus AR, which I think that we have not fully utilized at all, which I can see beneficial. I can see it being smaller, something that's close to your face that you don't need to.
I'm laughing because when you
Yeah.
said that thing about the catalog, it reminds me of the irony, the absolute irony of Apple refusing to allow as is all the streaming gaming services.
Right, I
Because if the
know.
Apple TV was only TV Plus, like almost nobody would watch it.
Yeah.
But it benefits hugely from them having also Netflix, also Disney Plus, also YouTube, also, I don't know if it's CBS All Access or now they've rebranded it to Paramount Plus. Or whatever, but they have all those services, but they're stubbornly refusing to allow game streaming. And if you had an Apple TV and you had an optional VR headset and you could get Microsoft xCloud Game Pass and PS4 and
Yes.
Steam and all these things, problem solved.
Yes, and we would have these wonderful catalogs. You could sell a great product. You do what you are good at and let others do what they are good at, and we can all be copacetic together and happy.
To your point about AR, though, I think the feeling there is that those products are still further away technologically. It's going to take much longer to get them to market. Sort of like, and I keep going back to this example, Apple originally thought it would take too long to get the iPhone to market, so they had the iPod team working on an iPod with like a click wheel dialer, just because they didn't think they could get and it turned out they could. They never shipped it. They canceled it. They went all in on the iPhone. But I wonder, like, if they feel like the AR glasses are 6 or 7 years away, but VR is maybe 2 years away. They're doing that as an interim or ancillary product to
Why,
work.
though, would they?
To work on all the data sets that they want to do to eventually create what I'm guessing is a mixed reality device, where you see a door in your kitchen, then you could open that door and go into a fantastic like a fantasy library and come out again. But it's a blended reality experience.
Right. I think that it's too soon. Like maybe in 2 or 3 years. I don't think that VR is that accepted. Like I think that when they brought in the watch, it was already pretty accepted and people were enjoying the experience. And then they came in and they could take all of that information and make something that is better. And I think that it is way too soon. I think there's still too few people that are enjoying VR. And a lot of people don't enjoy VR. I don't think there's enough. I don't think VR is for everyone.
Mm-hmm. Could it be though, especially in I would have loved to. So I had I have the original Oculus Quest. I really meant to buy the second one, and we talked about this on the show before. But when they announced the Facebook login thing, I hard Johnny Ive noped out as well,
right.
and I felt really bad about it because I really would like to have used that during the pandemic, like Beat Saber and the Star Wars stuff and a bunch of other things, and I just morally couldn't bring myself to do it. Like
right.
I'm like, I can't support this. And I think one of the benefits of an Apple system would be they would make it privacy first.
Right.
They don't want to scan your room or like all of that stuff while you're doing it. And can you imagine Fitness Plus where you're like dance, 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 and like your rings are closing and you're...
If it was more like Dance Dance, like they were doing like a Dance Dance Revolution where they were tracking if I was dancing well enough, all in. I am waiting for that since the Kinect, where you got to dance and it would tell, but it wasn't great at reading it. I was too short and it just...
You were not too short. They made it for kids.
I know. It just didn't read it. Anyways,
It's that neither of us could
strange...
dance.
Well, that's true too. That's true too.
Neither of us could dance. But it was interesting because Apple bought the original Kinect technology Apple bought, and that's what was used to make the True Depth camera for Face ID.
I know, but I still don't have my...
What?
ability to be able to see me dancing, and then I could go through it. So that would be nice.
So those knuckles don't work for that?
They don't really, because they're still missing so much information versus something that is physically seeing you. If your hands are just moving in your head and your legs are not moving, they're working on it. We will have that, which will be great.
Yeah, it'll be like WALL-E or those other movies where you just sit in the chair all day and you never...
No, you see, I'd be dancing. I would not be like that. I would be getting fit and enjoying it because I'd have to move.
So is the fatigue from VR because you're wearing the heaviness of the helmet, or is there actual cognitive load that you're adding to yourself?
There is more of like you're getting a disjoint in between, like a lot of people get motion sick because your vestibular system, the system that deals with balance, is getting different information than what you are seeing, which can make you a little bit sick. So you're dealing with that. You're also moving around. Like if you're being attacked by a horde of zombies, you are wanting to fight until, the zombies are all gone or they have eaten you. You have this choice. And so you're moving around. And a lot of the games are experiential and you're choosing to move, which are the most fun games. But you're not getting all of the information. This really weird sense where and you get used to it. The more that you do it, the more that you get used to that. But after a while, I need a break. Like after an hour and a half of on VR, I need to be off of it, even if I'm loving the experience, because I'm not just physically exhausted from fighting, but my mind is going through that fatigue, which is getting a disjoint between, my body movements and what I'm seeing on the screen.
I used your HTC Vive, and I've used your old school Oculus, like the one that was plugged in.
Yeah.
And then I got the Oculus, the one that was before the Quest, that you had basically was a sitting down version. I forget
Oculus
the name.
Go?
The Oculus Go, yeah. And then the Quest, but I also got the PSVR, and putting that on, and I got it entirely for the Batman game.
Right, which was a good game.
I put that on, and you look down, and you look up, and you are Batman.
It is a wonderful. The first time that I flew, there was a game that you could fly. It's Ritchie's Plank Experience, not this Ritchie.
Oh God.
And it's really weird. So you walk out. One of the experiences, you walk up an elevator, and there's just this plank on the floor, and you can actually put a real plank on the floor. And it's interesting how much of our brain, even though you are in a room, because of how much of our brain deals with visual. Our visual system takes up a lot of our brain, and we believe what we see more than anything else. So though I'm telling myself I'm really just in the living room, I'm like, my entire body's saying don't go. That also has a flying experience, which...
So you made me do that plank experience,
did.
and you put a plank on the ground.
I put a plank on the
and
ground.
even though I knew I was in the room, I could not walk forward. My brain cut off.
Stopped you.
It stopped me. I could not move. I was
That's the anxiety
petrified.
system that keeps you alive. Don't
Yes.
do this. This is dangerous.
Yeah, I was not. It was like being, hold person or power word,
Yes.
whatever, freeze.
Yes, exactly. You went to fight or flight, and fight, flight, freeze.
I went into freeze. Yeah, exactly.
Yes,
I could not.
exactly. It's a really weird experience. But the first time that I flew in it, it was also the coolest experience ever because I always wanted to fly, and I felt it. I felt like I was flying. If we had more of our senses that were involved, that would be a much more believable system. Like there's a
Like
system
wind?
that has there's this one where you lay down, so you're flying like Superman, and you lay down and there's wind depending on how fast you're going. And I think it's you're flying a dragon, or you are the dragon, one or the other. And there's this like chair that tilts around, which that's all you need. If you've ever seen people that are in the VR and they're just sitting in this thing that rocks, a little tiny bit of rock, our brain fully believes that we are tumbling to our death. I was gonna say pummeling to our death.
Is it just me or somebody drilling? If you guys can hear that, somebody decided to drill, and we're not stopping the podcast for that. They can stop the drilling for us. We're going forward.
Are they going to do that? They're going to stop the podcast?
They better.
for us?
No, we're not stopping the podcast. They better stop that drilling.
Okay. Well, we're going to continue on. Anyways, it's a wonderful experience.
Is it the feeling? Is it similar to the same feeling that you get when you think you're falling in a dream?
It isn't the same. It's the same. Okay, so the falling feeling is the same feeling, but it's actually a different reason. That feeling where you get that startle reflex, it's a strange primal thing of, and they believe this, and I'm not sure, this has not been studied, but they believe that it was when we used to be tree dwelling, and it was that grab onto, fall, be careful that you're still grabbing onto the tree and you don't want to fall off of the tree. That is what is said about that. I don't know. There's not actual studies because
but it's a different thing.
It is a different feeling from that, but it is, the feeling of falling is the same type of thing in the brain.
It was funny because I never had a problem with flying in dreams, but whenever I landed, I would break my legs. And then Joss Whedon wrote The Astonishing X-Men after he did Buffy the Vampire Slayer, and they had a hero there named Wing who could fly but wasn't invulnerable, and he was so upset. He's like, everyone else, when they get to fly, they can always land fine. They're always invulnerable. I break my legs every time, and I'm like, see, I'm not the only one.
I never used to have that happen until you told me that you used to break your legs, and then I had the worry of breaking my legs.
You're welcome.
But thank you, Rene.
All of you, you're welcome.
But my issue was always that I couldn't, gravity would suck me back down. And now in my dreams, I get vertigo when I'm flying too high and not going up, but when I'm going back down, I get vertigo and wake up, and I love to fly in my dreams. So that is sad.
It's why Ultra Boy in Legion of Superheroes never made sense to me, because he has all the powers of Superman, but only one at a time. So how do you have super strength and you can lift up the bus without invulnerability? Because then your arms would just break off. The whole thing made no sense to me. Or how can you run super fast if you're not invulnerable? The wind, you got to think these things through.
You have to think these through. Well, talking about that, Rene, since you're on the subject, someone actually in the YouTube comments has said that they would like for you to choose their superhero that they should be, because you know better about this. And since you've thought about this, which superhero they should be if they could choose.
I mean,
this is gonna be. It'll be on another episode that he's gonna have to think this through.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's always a cliche. If you have the power to fly, it's just a delight. You can get up there above the traffic. You can go anywhere.
But is it really the best power?
Some people want to be invisible, but I find that so creepy. If you want to be invisible, I think there's just a creepy factor to it.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like that much fun, though. Right?
I don't know. I'm assuming they want to creep. That's the whole reason they're doing it.
Right? Like super strength or telekinesis, or because then if you have telekinesis, maybe you could fly too.
Or is it like Batman, where you're just a billionaire who's really good at training and discipline? That's not a superpower, though.
No, that seems like a lot of work. That's like Jackie Chan. You have to work really. No, that doesn't.
Take off that armor, and what are you? A billionaire playboy philanthropist. Nothing special about you that didn't come out of a bottle. I mean, that's these discussions. Yeah, I would like something that could get something that would help the world. That would help people. That would just let you bring water.
I love it that you did altruism.
No,
they get any superpower and you went altruism.
Something that would help you bring water to places that don't have water, or that would help you.
Creation of water.
Yeah, not create, but they would let you help people. That's always the best thing. There was I'm getting so off tangent
This is
today.
this has to be like the extra topic.
Yeah, we should pull this. You're getting a
this
bonus
out.
extra top. No, you're getting a bonus. There was
Right.
this.
You're still watching.
There was this comic book series, Warren Ellis. There was this whole era of British writers who deconstructed modern superhero mythology, starting with Alan Moore and The Watchmen, and Warren Ellis and Planetary, and Mark Miller with The Authority. But it became sort of, it filtered back into the mainstream DC comics, and they had an issue of Superman that sort of made fun of The Authority a little bit. But they were talking to Superman, they're like, you catch Lois every time she screams and falls off a building, and she falls off a building a lot, but all those kids starving to death, you just ignore them every day. And like, that's
harsh.
So the superpower I think people should have is the one that helps stop those kids starving to death.
Fair.
Here we go.
There we go.
Asked and answered, Your Honor. All right, so Georgia mentioned our bonus topics. We do the bonus topics every week, every episode on the Nebula version of this podcast, which is ad-free and bonus, extensive, exclusive content. If you don't have Nebula and you want to try it out, you can actually get this amazing Curiosity Stream bundle where it's like, right now it's on special for less than $12 a year, like $1 a month. It's ridiculous. And you not only get Curiosity Stream, which has the best documentaries and series on the internet. It's absolutely amazing, but you get a free Nebula subscription. So you can listen to, ad-free, sponsor-free versions of Apple Talk, but also with the bonus topics. All of my videos are up there, ad-free. A lot of them have bonus topics. And just, Legal Eagle and Thomas Frank and Ali Abdaal and Jordan Harrod and Real Science and Braincraft and Wendover and the person who sounds exactly like Wendover who does half as interesting. It's just like a huge list of stuff. So all you have to do for that is go to curiositystream.com/AppleTalk.
And soon to be me.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I don't know if your videos are actually up there yet. They're on YouTube now, but I don't know if they're up on Nebula yet.
I don't think they're up yet.
Okay,
They will
they'll
be
be up
soon.
soon. Imminently.
Soon.
Imminently.
Yeah, soon.
Imminently. So yeah, curiositystream.com/AppleTalk. Check it out. And yeah, you put up how many videos so far? 3? You're on fire.
I think I've put up 4 now.
4 videos?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
4 videos.
How was it?
It was really exciting and
Yeah?
scary and terrifying and wonderful.
What is it like having videos when I'm not there to be yelled at?
Not as much fun. I like the yelling part.
And you actually got your name for the channel name, which I was really excited about.
I know.
Yeah. So
I know.
youtube.com/GeorgiaDow.
Yeah.
Where else can they go to find you?
You can go on YouTube, on Twitter. It's at Georgia_Dow. And if you're dealing with anxiety or depression, you can check out anxiety-videos.com.
Awesome. And you can find me at Rene Ritchie on Twitter. You can find me at youtube.com/Rene Ritchie. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts, if you can leave a review, leave a rating, it helps encourage them to feature us, and we can find more amazing people like you to chat with every week, which is just the best thing.
It is.
If you are on Nebula already, then just stay tuned. We have the bonus topic. And if you are leaving us now, then thank you so much for being here. You're fantastic, and we'll see you next week.